these are the 4 strategies I'm going to be using to be building my brand for the rest of 2025 and onward. And honestly, you can just steal them because I've seen great success in each category for not only myself, but other creators. And I think putting them together in one cohesive package is going to be a wonderful idea for attracting the right kinds of people who I want to attract and building the kind of brand and ultimately life I want to build. So obviously, I will be checking back with you guys in a year to see how it ultimately went. But the goal with posting these YouTube videos is to be posting them consistently every week in order to execute the strategies that I'm going to be telling you in this video. So the first strategy is understanding the content funnel you're trying to build instead of content pillars. For the longest time, I always focused on content pillars. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? And it's not that that's a bad idea and that's going to fuck you over in some capacity. It's just that it's incomplete. And in today's world where the market is far more saturated in every content aspect with long form YouTube, short form video, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, just focusing on what you're going to say isn't good enough. Like the other day, I was looking back at some old TikToks from like 2020 and 2021, 2022 even, and a lot of them seemed very basic, but they were just blowing up, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views, followers pouring in. And the reason for that was because the market wasn't very saturated. It wasn't very sophisticated. This was the first time that kind of medium had ever been out there. So people flocked to the more basic hook styles. Now, I think that instead of focusing on content pillars, what am I going to say? Here are my zones of genius. It's better to create a content funnel. And if we're talking about specifically short form content, which is something that I'm trying to specialize in for myself, Instagram is my main platform, understanding what kind of content is top of funnel, what kind of content is middle of funnel, and what kind of content is bottom of funnel. So top of funnel content is anything that's more broad, that is designed to get you more views. We're trying to get people, as many people as we can, into this content funnel. So, and this doesn't mean just say bullshit, like just say whatever in hopes of getting people to look at you like you're some kind of, I don't know, like the word Jersey Shore is coming to mind. I never watched Jersey Shore. I think it was just like sensationalized trash TV at the time, which was popular. So don't do that. But what is relevant within my niche and what is relevant within my interests, that is going to rope people in. And you could say, well, there are content pillars within this top of funnel category. That's correct. But until you understand what the categories are, you could unknowingly make a bunch of content that's just bottom of funnel in the things that you want to talk about. So middle of funnel is any type of content that educates people further in your industry, further in your area of expertise. And I always tell people that with middle of funnel, the goal should be to change the way people see the world. So if you're just telling them like, here's basic information that they could find anywhere, it's nice. And you might find some people who find it valuable. But in order for them to see you as the natural solution to their problems, you need to educate on problems they didn't know they had. So you need to tell them, hey, you're looking at the world from this perspective. That's wrong. That's actually not going to get you to your goals. Instead, you should be looking at the world from this perspective. And this is the key to solving the massive problem that you have in your life. Because if you completely shift their worldview, they go, oh, I didn't even know that. Like, I have to keep watching you. I have to keep following you because you clearly know more about my situation than I do. So that's middle of funnel. And then bottom of funnel is very niche content. And ultimately the goal is you're trying to ask them to do something, whether it's book a call, whether it's become a client, whether it's to, reach out in some capacity. And look, there are some content that's going to be top of funnel and middle of funnel. There's some content that's going to be middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. There's some content that could touch on all three. But the goal is if you don't have these guidelines figured out, if you don't have these parameters understood, it's kind of hard to motivate people to act because the market is a lot more sophisticated. You can't just show up and say whatever and get people to reach out to you because they're so sensationalized. Is that the right word to use in that capacity setting? Because they're so, just blown away with the magic of short form video, like it's, December 2020 again. So the content funnel is very relevant for creating short form. I also think it's relevant for creating long form, but YouTube is a different beast than short form algorithms. So there's a bit of different finessing that's required. You need to learn how to get put in suggested videos. You need to learn how to do SEO optimization. You need to learn how to kind of create a long form vacuum that people can get lost in. Short form, it's a lot easier to binge. But I think put together with a great short form strategy and a great long form strategy is going to be the winning strategy going forward. And that's always going to be the case, whether it's podcast, YouTube videos. What's another example of the podcast and YouTube videos? You understand what I'm saying. The next strategy I'm using to build my brand for the rest of 2025 and going forward is I don't know what to call this. There are 4 questions to ask about what the goal is and what you're doing and how to reverse engineer based on those goals. This is something I took from Caleb Ralston. He was a guy who was instrumental in helping Gary Vee blow up. I think he started working for him in 2018 and the Hormozis around 2021, I believe. And so his whole thing hinges on these 4 questions. And so you have to kind of reverse engineer from what your goal is. So the first question you ask is, what am I trying to do? What is my goal for my brand right now? And for myself, I shut down my agency in May of 2025, so a couple months ago now, as at the filming of this video. I got a job, a remote job that I like a lot, pays very well, and I'm very happy. So boss, if you're seeing this, you're doing great. And I'm not in a hurry to be pushing my own offer at any point in time. Things could always change, of course, but my goal with my brand is to attract like-minded individuals, people who are interested in marketing, people who are interested in spirituality, people who are interested in inner work, people who are interested in consumer psychology, philosophy, etc., and the intersection of these topics in order to go deeper. Not just, hey, how do I get clients with my content? Not just, hey, how do I get the best tips, the best hook, the best hacks to game the algorithm and make a lot of money. Not that there's anything wrong with making a lot of money. I love making money, and I think those things are very valuable. But I want to attract people who think on a deeper level, who are playing a deeper game. It's about impact. It's about transformation. It's about being magnetic. It's about being attractive. It's about changing who you are in order to attract people who want to transform themselves. And I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I shouldn't say change who you are. It's about remembering who you are and removing all the bullshit that you learned from previous years in your childhood and people telling you weren't enough, and remembering your true, perfect, divine essence as a child of God and allowing other people to see that in themselves. So that's the ultimate goal with my brand, to be completely transparent with you guys and to answer the first question. The second question is, okay, if this is the goal, what do I have to be known for in order to achieve this goal? So all I'm trying to do right now is build an audience personally. I'm not trying to push my own offer, so I need to be known for certain things. Marketing, content, spirituality, philosophy, inner work, etc. The list goes on. And so that's something that I would encourage you to ask yourself as well. Okay, if this is my ultimate goal, like, what do I need to be known for in order to achieve that goal? The next question is, what do I need to do in order to be known for the things I want to be known for, in order to get the result I want to get? And then before that, the fourth question is, what do I need to learn in order to do the things, in order to be known for the things, in order to get the outcome? So it's very simple when you break it down like that. And I love that framework because it's very intentional. It's not trying to optimize. It's not trying to improve. It's asking, why are we here and what are we doing here? Because I think a lot of people build really quickly in the wrong direction. I did, so I shut my agency down because I sprinted in a direction that ultimately wasn't super aligned with what I want for my life. It was great. I did it for 2.5 years and I loved it. I learned a lot of lessons. I got some great results from my clients and I enjoyed it, and it was what it was. But ultimately, the reason I built my agency was because I got fired and I didn't want to move back to Winnipeg. I wanted to stay living in Toronto and I needed money to live in Toronto. And so it sustained me for 2.5 years, but it wasn't ultimately worth it. So I think it's actually really important to understand, like, where am I going and why do I want to go to this place, and then build slowly and have this unshakable foundation instead of just sprinting in the wrong direction. You know, if you're trying to get to Miami and you're doing 200 miles an hour towards Seattle, you are not going to get to Miami. And you're going to be very confused and angry and pissed off when you wake up one morning and you're in Oregon, if that's even the route. And you're like, what the fuck? I thought I was going to Miami. So I love that strategy. I love that framework because it's very intentional. It's very thoughtful. And I think it's going to build a brand with a lot of depth. I think it's going to attract a lot of people who value depth. And at the end of the day, what else? You don't want transient clients. You don't want people in your life who are just in it for quick fixes, right? So I love that strategy. I love that framework, and I will be using it heavily for myself. The third strategy I'm going to be using to build my brand is to build the audience first and then build the offer. So like I explained in the video, I'm at a very fortunate, I guess, point in my career where I don't feel pressure to sell my own offer and I don't feel pressure to make a fuck ton of money from my own offer. I don't really have one right now, and I'm just posting content to, build an audience and attract like-minded people and get them to think and show them things that I've learned and to teach them about content and inner work and all the things that have changed my life. And I honestly, part of the reason why I really like being in this place, and part of the reason why I want to crystallize this energy, this frequency, this reality, is because I don't want to feel pressure to sell my own offer, even if I do have my own offer. And I don't want you to feel that same pressure as well. I don't think that's a good place to be selling from. I don't think that that's something that's going to attract dream clients. And I really want to sit in this energy. I really want to sit in this frequency and not put any pressure on myself to sell an offer, not put any pressure on myself to achieve a certain goal, because then I think I'm just going to push it away further. I think this works hand in hand with the last two strategies I talked about. What do I want to do? And ultimately, what do I need to be known for? Okay, so what kind of audience do I need to build in order to be known for these things? You see what I mean? So, and once you focus on building the audience and putting out the content and putting out the messaging and putting out the VSL or the ads or whatever it is you're trying to do in order to build that audience, the likelihood of you actually creating an offer that those people desperately need and makes their lives so much better is so much higher. Instead of just coming up with an offer that you think is good because you think it's going to make money, because I don't know, I could go down this rabbit hole forever, but you know what I mean? It's like, instead of coming up with an idea that you think you can make a ton of money from and just go to market and hope it works, and it's not tested, it's not researched, it's not based on any deep, meaningful, impact you want to make that you feel in your fucking balls. It's just kind of, I think this is going to make me money. Again, it's not that it can't make you money, but what kind of impact do you want to have on the world? What kind of life do you want to build? And you should build your business around your life, not the other way around. And I find that if you kind of rush to the market with this offer that you think is very good and you think is valuable, and you're not very conscientious about who you're trying to attract, who you are, and what kind of life you're trying to build, you can build in the wrong direction. Because that's what I did. I got fired. I knew how to do agency work. I knew how to, wow, that wasn't English. I knew how to do content. I knew how to do email marketing. I knew how to build funnels. I knew how to attract clients. I was like, I'll do this for other people. But instead of me getting super clear on what audience I really want to build, I thought, well, I'll just talk to fitness coaches. Okay, cool. There are a lot of people who are fitness coaches. Do I want to work with somebody like Wes Watson? No, I don't. I really don't. I want to work more with people who are willing to look deeper than let me just get clients. And because I wasn't super conscientious about the audience I wanted to build, I didn't operate at that frequency with my own content. I didn't operate at the frequency that I want to now, in every aspect of my life. And while I attracted some good clients and while I attracted some good situations, ultimately it wasn't lasting. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something that had a really big foundation. It was kind of, it was there to make me money, and I also wasn't the kind of person who was capable of holding that level of success, which is a topic for another video, but it came and it went. And it left me realizing that while it was fun, I needed to go deeper. There were other layers I needed to go to in order to build the kind of life I really want to build and the business around that. So I'm really, really big right now on build the audience of first. Focus on being the kind of person who can attract that audience. And when you are that kind of person and you know who you want to be, and then you'll know who you want to attract, and it'll be a lot easier for them to come to you and to watch your videos over and over. And then once you get the right people around you, it's a lot easier to build an offer that they actually want, they'll actually find valuable, and you'll actually love to sell. Because I don't think those sales tactics and hacks are nearly as effective as a lot of people think they are. I think when you really love what you sell and it makes a big difference in people's lives, and people know, like, and trust you, and they see the transformation because you are the transformation and you've done it for other people, it's just so much easier to sell. And then you'll have a bunch of content that they can binge. They'll binge the content. They'll love it. You'll probably have a great VSL. They'll watch the VSL, and they'll get to the sales call and just be like, I just want to work with you. So that's strategy number 3. And strategy number 4, what is strategy number 4? Give me 1 sec. Strategy number 4 is the question of what would happen if I just consistently posted every single day on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, and every single week on long form YouTube for a year. This is not a hard concept. This is one that it's not new either. This is one I'm very familiar with. But in the past, because I wasn't very clear on what I was trying to do, and everything I was doing was just kind of surface level, it was easy to get shiny object syndrome. Oh, I need to run to ads now. Ads are going to be the thing that breaks my business open. It wasn't. I did them for a bit. It didn't make me much money, and I ended up just moving on to the next shiny object that I was convinced was going to be the next thing for me. Oh, if I just spam cold outreach, that's going to be the thing that gets me to the next level. I didn't spam cold outreach. I did it for like 2 weeks, hated it, and just moved on to the next thing. Oh, if I focus more on content, that'll be the thing. And content was the thing I actually really liked, so I was able to be the most consistent with it. But I just kept shifting from thing to thing because I didn't actually. There was a lot of inner work I had to go through in order to figure out why I kept shifting from thing to thing and what my beliefs were about myself and why I felt the need I felt the need for something to save me and save my business, and why I felt the need for my business to work, and what that meant and what that meant about me. But anyways, I'm kind of getting away from the point. The point is, if I'm just consistent with the things I love doing and I know make a difference and ultimately contribute to the goals I have for myself, building an audience of people, like I said earlier, what would my life be like? So I've been posting every day on Instagram since July 23rd. I think I almost posted every day in July, but I missed 3 days. So the timer reset, and I'm going to be posting every week on YouTube long form, and I'm reposting my IG stuff on TikTok, and everything that can go on YouTube Shorts will go on YouTube Shorts, and seeing what happens from there. Because I've posted content in the past. I posted a bunch of content in the past, but I really don't think it aligned with who I really want to be and who I really am. And I feel really excited about the content I am posting now. And I feel like I have a great mindset around it now. And I feel like I'm picking up a lot of little wins every single day. And so what would just happen if I was consistent? And I would urge you to ask the same question for yourself. Whatever it is you love doing, whatever it is is going to move the needle and gives you life, what happens if you just do that consistently for a year? I think the results are going to be mind-blowing, and it's why I'm holding myself accountable to this process now of posting content and also not getting too ahead of myself. Like, I'm one piece of content a day, I can do that. And if I post once a day, every day for 2 months, then I'll give myself permission to think about what it would be like to post twice a day on Instagram, or 2 times in a day every once in a while when I'm feeling more inspired. Because I don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to do the thing where people get super excited and they go a million miles an hour and they've never even gone for a jog before, and then they crash and then the cycle restarts. So how can I just gradually build on this solid foundation I'm in the process of making? And what would life look like when I build slowly and steadily every single day and every single week on YouTube? So anyways, that's it. Those are the 4 strategies I'm using to build my brand. I think they're awesome, and I highly encourage you to use them for yourself. And if you use them and they work, throw me a message on Instagram. It's in the description, and I'd love to chat, just to see how it went for you and see what you're up to. And if not, that's okay too. I'll see you later. Peace.